Hi everyone, welcome to IGN Anime Club. I'm your host Miranda Sanchez, as always, and we have a very special episode. As always, Alaina.
Hi.
Megan Sullivan.
I'm the reason this is so special, by the way, clearly.
And then those awesome laughs from Victoria Holden.
Hello.
Yay.
Evan Minto.
She just has an okay laugh. Mine's better.
So you guys...
I was trying to be normal, and you already ruined
immediately. We have to go straight into the tsundere
Anyways,
kind of
so-
dynamic.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
thank you.
So we haven't said where you guys are from.
Oh, we're
Crunchyroll.
from Crunchyroll. That's it.
.com.
That cool
Dot
place.
com.
A good website.
The world's leading anime streaming website.
That's right. Yeah.
And you guys also host your own podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
The Crunchy Cast.
The Crunchy
Yeah.
Cast, where Evan and I weekly interview guests and just talk about what's going on in the anime world. Usually I'm making fun of him.
No, we make fun of each other, but we really come together and
I
make
said
fun of our
usually.
producer.
True.
That's like that's where we kind of
The unheard,
the shonen
unseen,
rivals,
unseen producer.
work together.
It's a
Aw.
podcast, unheard.
I'm glad nobody makes fun of me. At least to my face.
So you guys are all nice.
Yeah,
to each
exactly.
other.
You're all
We're
super
like,
nice people.
Whoa, IGN, everybody likes each other.
We're on
Yeah.
our best behavior right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
I'm on my worst.
There are actual secret fights about which Sailor Scout is the best.
Oh well, it's
And
wait.
fist fights,
Okay, hold
so.
up.
I
think
So
this
my
is
name is
gonna
Sailor
get
B
nasty.
on Twitter
Back
for a
off.
reason.
So I vowed to like stop mentioning Sailor Moon because people are like, you guys always talk about Sailor Moon. It's like, I'm sorry.
I almost wanted to
I'm
talk
sorry,
about
guys.
Sailor Moon today.
I wish I could get her to vow to stop talking about Sailor Moon.
I
Yeah,
think
no.
it's just a
I
problem.
mean, you're wearing a
It's fine.
bow like on the back of your head.
I know,
Obviously, you're.
it's-
Oh.
It's kind of like Sailor V
Yeah,
a little bit,
the
even though
best
she's
Sailor
not my
Scout.
favorite.
Yeah, it's a perfect
Oh.
opportunity to say that my latest Sailor Moon review went up on the site yesterday. So if you want to know all about Act 21, yeah. go
Sick
read it.
plug.
That wasn't even on purpose.
It wasn't, well, it was, but that's neither here nor there.
It wasn't
21
planned.
is
I
so
guess
It
it's
important.
wasn't, it wasn't planned, but we rolled
It's
with it.
the episode I've been waiting for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Mhm.
So, now that we have you guys on the show, I want to
Finally.
know. Yeah, it's like the best like crossover of podcasts. That's cool.
True.
What are your favorite anime? Like, well, we had that question a lot, and so I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
let's
a
just get
tough
it out of the way. It's up front.
Well, sorry.
You want
Should
me-
we say what we do at Crunchyroll?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, we should
sorry.
probably
Let's
do that,
some
yeah.
editing, right?
Backtrack.
Okay.
we're not just podcast hosts. Yeah.
Yeah. So Evan, what do you do at Crunchyroll?
I'm a software engineer. It's sort of like a weird position where I'm not on like you'll explain what you do, but like
Yeah.
Victoria's on like the brand team, which is more related to podcasting. My job is actually just like coding the website.
Organize and work.
Yeah, but also I get to actually be on the podcast as well because I don't know, I like to talk about anime and
You
we
also
have
come
fun
to
talking to each other. But
conventions
yeah, I
with
come to conventions
us
and stuff.
and-
It's all sort of like unofficial other work that
we
I
like
do.
steal him to like
Yeah.
do stuff for our team. Is basically what he's trying to say.
Basically.
Like against against his will
Well,
sometimes.
my boss is pretty cool about it though.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
So I'm a brand manager at Crunchyroll.com. So I am also the social media manager. So I manage all of our like social media presence, yada yada yada. Me and a few of the other girls on the brand team sort of like act as like the faces of the company. So we go to conventions and we give panels and we host live events on stage. And if and when like Crunchyroll wants to collaborate with another like live show or media, like I'll go and speak on behalf of our company. I work with publishers to do like original collaborations with our mascot character and with other
Crunchyroll Hime.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Super cute.
She's cool.
She's the best. So I'll work with publishers as well as like creators. So we did like the Omocat T-shirt a couple months ago, which was great. And we just handle like anything from like approving designs that go up onto the site to like helping plan conventions. We all sort of like share duties, and it's very crazy and fast paced.
Lots
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah, a ton of stuff. I can't even like put it on paper like what I do.
Oh, cool. So now you guys, back to the important question.
Oh yeah, important
Favorite
question.
anime.
Sorry.
More
You
important
guys
than
know
what you do, is
I mean,
what your
obviously,
favorite
yeah.
Japanese
How we
cartoon
got
is.
here.
Make sure you're
How we got
qualified
here
to
in the
speak
first
about
place.
anime. No.
Oh darn. Well, you prepared for this.
Yeah, I'm sort of always prepared for the question of what is your favorite anime.
I've
The-
never prepared for that. That or like
I
what's
have
your
a-
favorite
I have a
video
Wait, how
list.
many do we
Favorite
get?
music?
Like 5?
I usually go with 5.
Okay. Because like
Yeah.
1 is like cruel.
It's not allowed to
hard.
ask like for
Yeah.
one thing. It's like
I actually
people
can give one. One is easier
That's
than 5
amazing.
because I have my one favorite anime and then the rest is like a cloud of other
Oh,
anime that I
in the
really
cloud,
like.
all my animes
Yeah,
in the
Most
cloud.
people can't make that decision.
right. I've had
Yeah.
one since probably since I first saw it. So it's Millennium Actress, which is a movie by Satoshi Kon.
Oh, I love that movie.
Have you seen it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's amazing, and it's not really very anime in the sense of like it doesn't have robots or like I guess it has like
Well,
a cute girl in it, but not like it doesn't take place in high school. It doesn't have all these like tropes that people associate with anime.
It's sort of magical though.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
story
surreal.
arcs like
Yeah.
time. Yeah, very surreal.
It's about, I guess some listeners might not know what it is. So Millennium Actress is about this reclusive actress, and these documentary filmmakers come to interview her, and she's old. She's like in her 70s, and as they interview her, it sort of flashes back to her earlier life, and it kind of takes you through her life from when she was a teenager to the present day, but intersperses her real life and her films.
It's really cool.
And so it makes it like this surreal thing where you're like, oh wait, are we watching her real life or a movie she was in, right? And it's really cool. Yeah, that's my favorite. My other ones are, if I have to name 4 others.
You don't have to.
You're on the line.
I know I can do it.
No, you have to.
But I gotta.
If I have to, you have to.
I'm gonna deliberately intersperse films and TV series because some of my favorites are films and I like them better than TV series.
Okay, I'll do the
but
same then, because I didn't know if we were doing just series.
Yeah,
Right.
films are
or-
cool. I mean, it
Films are
counts.
cool. I'm into films.
Yeah.
So I would say 5 centimeters per second would go on there.
Yep.
Serial Experiments Lane, Paranoia Agent, which is also from Satoshi Kon. And what was that, 3?
So Evan Core.
Pretty much.
That's 4 total.
That list. Okay, 4 total.
4.
And so did I say Cowboy Bebop? Cowboy Bebop probably goes on there.
Yay.
All right.
So perfect for our later discussion.
That's right.
So I have like this conflict where like there are things that have like nostalgia factor for me. So like I want to put Sailor Moon on the list just because that is like the one show that I can't even watch
Right.
without choking up. Like the moment they show up, like Machinasai, I'm like I can't breathe and like I can feel it in my stomach and stuff. But also Sailor Moon is extremely, actually I'm gonna put it on the list, whatever. Sailor Moon is really important for a lot of reasons, like just like women in manga and like women in like the industry at the same time. It's also like a great story and
Well, and I think
teaches
it's
you a lot.
I think
like,
the fact that it has like something subjective about it, right, that you like, doesn't invalidate it for being your favorite.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But all my other favorites are just like so different and weird and like stupid.
That's good.
So
Variety.
these are not in any order because I can't do that to them. So Sailor Moon for sure. Another thing is, this is like weird because I've seen so many things, but Naruto is definitely a huge favorite for me. Like I used to like not want to get up in the morning and just think like, well, Naruto would get up. Like in middle school and high school, and I would go to school like for that reason, and that was it.
Oh man.
So I've just learned so much
That's hardcore.
from Naruto
Super
and
deep.
yeah, the other characters. I love Naruto so much. I mean, I work at Crunchyroll. Obviously, I love Naruto, like in a business sense, and also like personally. After that, Now and Then, Here and There is probably usually what I say is my like number 1 favorite, because I don't count things like Sailor Moon and Naruto or like long series sort of in this list because I don't think that's what people are looking for when they ask me that.
I think that's perfectly valid though.
Yeah. So Now and Then, Here, There. It originally aired on Sci-Fi Channel when we were like 13, and then I bought the box set at Suncoast, and I'm not gonna go too much into it because I don't think that's what we're doing. But after that, Evangelion,
Okay.
because if I didn't say that, it would be weird because I have like a huge Asuka tattoo on my back.
Yeah, that would be weird if it wasn't your favorite.
It would just be weird, right? I saw the end of Ava before I saw the series.
Huh.
Oh, okay.
because
That
that's
didn't make
interesting.
you just go goodbye. I'll watch
Yeah.
other
No, it
things.
made me,
Yeah.
Dad, I need a tattoo. My parents are like super into anime and manga, so we always had like magazine subscriptions to every single magazine, and they would just buy things as they came out. So they had all of Ava on VHS when I saw the DVD for the end of Ava, and so I was just like, Dad, this is amazing. And he's like, here you go. He gave me all the VHSs, and I
Aw.
watched it all in like a week, and I was 13. So I was like extremely impressionable and related so much to the characters. And every time I watch it, even as an adult, I like find something new and learn something new. So it has a lot of rewatch value for me. And so that's what
Right.
makes it like huge for me. And then how many did I list?
You've
4.
got, yeah, 4.
4. Okay. This is so hard. This is so hard. I want to say like so many, like a Gundam series or something, but I'm not going to. Sorry, Evan.
Which Gundam series would you name?
Turn A.
Okay, I haven't seen Turn.
Yeah, Turn A is the best.
So many.
Okay. 5th favorite anime.
It's hard.
It's really hard. This is messed up. This is a messed up
Someone,
question.
when I was getting interviewed at IGN, they asked me my favorite video games. I
Yeah.
was like, don't ask me that.
Wait,
That's probably the
question.
answer they were
yeah,
looking
for
for.
us.
Yeah.
That's like way easier for us.
I can definitely name favorite
yeah,
games too.
5 video
Yeah.
games like
It's
nothing.
hard. So many I love.
This is really hard. Okay, I'm just gonna say Saint Seiya because I have a shrine in my house.
Yeah, that I think
for
is
Saint
indicative.
Seiya, yeah.
I feel really bad. I just ran through all of mine. Like I gave the explanation for Millennium Actress, and then I was like, 2, 3, 4,
I
5,
want to say
6,
like random
whatever.
stuff like Elemental Jalad, like stuff that's so
Nice,
fun
okay.
and cool, and like Gash Bell and things, but
Yeah.
like they're not my favorites. But while I'm watching them, they are.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's kind of an issue we had. We went through our favorites on a previous episode,
Mhm.
and I had to like sit down for like 30 minutes and just write down a list of shows. I'm
Mm.
like, I love you, but you're not in the top 5. But I love you. It's just really hard.
Yeah. I think if I had like, I should make a solid top 50.
Yeah.
And like just publish that.
I
And
can't
people
do it.
ask me that, just like
Once-
pull it up, like have a QR code right here to a website that has my 50 favorite anime or my anime list. Oh my god, let's get QR code tattoos to our my anime list.
No, what if my anime list goes down and then you just have
would
a
be
useless
awful.
QR code?
Yeah,
Also,
just
you're getting a
404s.
QR code
You just
tattooed
do a
on yourself.
rub-on tattoo. You
what?
just do it for conventions.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's actually kinda smart.
Oh, you are.
That's actually
yeah.
She's our tech
Marketing
editor,
genius.
so she's
Wow.
got this.
Okay, I'm doing that.
That's our terrifying cyborg future right there.
My anime list.
At least it's better than being microchipped.
Yeah.
Oh, we can
what
just
if,
get
what if you just
microchipped.
get your My Anime List printed, like tattooed directly on there, and you're like,
I don't have enough
Millennium
skin.
Actress, Paranoia Agent, like just right there on your
I don't have
arm.
enough skin on my entire body.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be difficult. Also, you
It's
have
like
to just,
Memento.
like, make just like the smallest font possible.
I like
Right.
where this is going though. This is
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely
it's
just
good.
gonna make it part of my body at some point.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
So
I'm not
wait,
that dedicated.
you have to tell
My
us what
loves.
you guys are into, so we know what
Oh.
we're dealing with here.
Yeah, so let's talk about that by what we're watching.
Okay.
I think it's a little indicative of what
Yeah, I
we
think
True.
they've already told the
We
listeners
like.
what they're into in
Yeah.
the first episode, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
A few episodes like
Kidding.
here and there, spatterings of it.
Yeah, I actually started the we're cheating and listing movies trend, so you guys are totally legit now.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go first. What I'm watching this week,
Mhm.
as I've said many times before, I try to watch a little bit of everything. Like, I just like everything.
Yeah.
So except for sports anime, it's just kind of my thing.
Oh, really?
It's like I just have to find like the good one. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm just like sports, whatever.
I don't watch enough sports anime, so I don't know if I would have one to
Yeah.
recommend.
Should be.
Yeah.
Let me see like what you're into that isn't sports anime,
Right.
and I'll recommend a sports anime
So
to
if
you.
they were Dota anime, I'd be happy.
It's
That
only
would
a
be-
matter of time. Yeah.
I hope.
Esports
Well,
anime.
the thing is,
Yeah.
most sports anime, the sports really like takes a back seat to
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're not into like shonen series, like I don't think Naruto and like iShield 21 are that different.
Hmm.
It's just they're ninjas or they're football players, but they're doing the same things.
Right.
Like it's crazy. So
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot with anime. It's just
Mhm.
like the premise kind of takes a backseat to what happens with the characters,
Yeah.
and what the plot is more driven.
Yeah.
and then that premise kind of just helps drive the plot.
mm-hmm.
But so I'm gonna talk this week was just one show because I've been super busy. Boyfriend's parents were in town, so I didn't get to watch anything because I was gone all
Aw.
weekend. I was like, no. So I don't think I've talked about this yet. I try to talk about something new every episode. And I've been watching Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
Is it?
Dang, I was gonna say that.
I do that every time.
Have
No.
you discovered the answer yet? Like,
Yeah.
is it wrong?
I mean, I don't
It's
think
right.
so. I think it's fine.
It's fine.
It's
I mean,
more
I would
how
wanna-
you do it, right?
Yeah, it's. Are you classy about it?
Mhm.
Then-
So
I
it's
mean, if
really
you
it's
are.
really how to pick up girls in a dungeon
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah,
is the
and
name
this
of the
guy-
show.
It's the real
The main
name.
character isn't really
Actual
even
translation.
like he likes this girl, but he's not even picking anybody up. Like it's like a weird kind of harem.
Mhm.
It's like light harem element. So like girls just like him. He doesn't even have to do anything.
Yeah,
He's
that's
this cute
yeah.
little
He's
kid.
Keiichi Morisato.
Harem's made its
Yeah.
way into everything these days. It's not
Yeah,
like the
really,
it's
though.
just hard like okay, this is the Tenchi Muyo type harem or something. It's just everything that's aimed at the otaku crowd is like
Man, I
has
miss
bits of
Tenchi
harem in
Muyo
it.
type harems.
Yeah.
That's the harem I want.
Like just
watch.
very clearly
Just
delineated
clearly,
harem.
like
yeah.
like we don't beat around the bush.
Yeah. So, well, this one does beat around the bush with harem stuff. It's kind of fun. Like there's a lot of interesting characters.
Interesting costumes. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I know about
Yeah, I
it.
heard
So-
that the meme girl is actually really endearing.
Yeah. So
And, like,
Hestia,
likable.
if
The
you've
meme
seen
girl.
I
That's
know,
good.
I
The
know her
Hestia
name is
meme.
Hestia,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I want to
So-
say the meme girl.
right, if you've been on like
Outside
Reddit
or not
any,
outside.
any anime forum ever within like
That's
the
inside.
past month.
That's why I changed
Yeah.
it.
You've probably seen the Hestia ribbon, which is
Mhm.
the blue ribbon that goes under the boob and ties around the arms, ties around the back, and just like
Yeah, you
supposed
can't
to like
move.
lift up your boobs a little bit
Oh,
or
okay.
something. It's weird. And so Hestia is a character who has that, and I like her a lot. So Hestia is I forget which mythology it is. I'm bad.
Norse, right? No.
I think it's.
I don't want to
Goddess of
say it
the
because I
Hearth.
do not know.
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
Greek?
I
Or
always
is
forget
it
like which name is which.
Roman?
It's Greek,
Yeah,
Greek
I
Roman
think
It's
mythology.
Hestia, yeah, that's the goddess of the hearth.
Yeah.
Who's not formally part of the 12 Olympians. But
Right.
No.
So,
But
so
I think
yeah.
we're just trying to figure out based on the
By the way.
name,
So-
whether it's Greek or Roman.
I do a
that's all.
Twitch cast
Yeah, so
called
that's my
History and
problem.
Games.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
We talk about games that have history slants to
Yeah.
it. So ancient Greek is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the thing.
I think that's
So
the Greek name.
all of
I
a
think
sudden
it's
I'm like,
Greek.
wait a
Yeah,
second.
but don't
I can
quote
talk
me.
about
It's been a
this.
long time.
Right, so that's like one of the cool elements about the show is that it like heavily relies on Greek and Roman and like just
Oh,
a tons
cool.
of different mythologies and religions.
Yeah.
And it has the premise that a bunch of gods and goddesses came down to Earth, started like a bunch of like little clans or familias in
Yeah.
the show, and they have adventures and they like help them level up. Like it's really cool how they adapt the like standard RPG elements and make them like work in this universe.
Oh, okay.
So it revolves around Hestia and her single familia kid. Like she just has this one guy, and because like nobody loves Hestia for some reason, like it's sad.
Aw.
And especially since she's supposed to be like the family goddess, it's like
Yeah.
she's lonely, and so now she finally has her family member, and it's just like really cute. But what the gods or goddesses do for their familia is kind of check their levels and help them level up. And it's like, okay, you have this special ability, and the way they do it is like they put this like paper on their back, and it's like this big tattoo, and it's just really cool. The premise is, it's fine. I mean, this kid who has a crush on a girl, and he's too weak to prove himself, like he can't even talk to her, kind of thing. Like she saves him from like the
Oh, okay.
dungeon. Like there's like a monster that
Oh my
escapes.
gosh. So
It's just really cute.
okay, this is like a tangent. What it's not. Have you seen the Berserk movies?
No, I haven't yet.
So, is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Starts off with the blonde coming in to save that guy, and they're
Yeah.
fighting this giant monster, and it's like scene for scene when Griffith shows up to save Guts while he's fighting Zod, and Zod looks just like that monster. So it's
Huh.
like so funny. I want to like put them next to each other, like the Neji like Spike meme, like when Neji's fighting and it's the same as
Oh.
Spike from Cowboy
Oh.
Bebop. I want to do that,
Yeah.
but with like this anime and Berserk, it's like amazing. I don't know. Sorry.
You probably could do that.
Oh yeah, I'm
It'd be
going
really
to.
good.
Once I'm like not on a podcast,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Do it later. I'll do it later. But yeah, absolutely. I think it's fun. I mean, there's a lot of fan service kind of stuff. Obviously, just look at Hestia's design.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of fun. Like I'm enjoying the show.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably not my favorite this season, but I think it's just really cool how they adapt all the RPG elements, especially as big into video games. So
yeah,
it's
I hadn't
interesting
given it a
take.
shot yet because I didn't know if it was like they're in a game or it's just like the elements
Nope,
sort of
it's just
like
their
are
world.
referenced.
yeah.
So that sounds way cooler than what I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just interesting to see how that all plays in. And then also, since like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to watch stuff, I've been reading Shirokuma Cafe. So the manga,
She's
if you've
Polar Bear Cafe,
Polar
right?
Bear Cafe.
Yeah,
So
okay.
good.
I love it so much. I watched the anime a long time ago, and I minored in Japanese, so I've been steadily losing it because I just don't do much with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I picked up the manga in Japanese, and I've just been
Oh.
kind of
Oh.
trying to read through it.
Nice.
since it's kind of like a simple show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even watching it, it's really good practice because a lot of the
Yeah.
jokes are like puns
Right.
and things like that. So it makes you like think about what you're hearing and so you can get the joke and they don't really spell it out. At least like in our subtitles, they're really good about like not spelling
Yeah.
out the joke. So that's one of the shows where like if I just want to veg out and like do nothing all day, I like throw that on and I just have the best time.
Yep. Super cute. So if you
Yeah.
just want to chill, good show. Shirokuma
Who's
Cafe.
your favorite?
Oh, that's so hard. I really like Shirokuma, but also Panda-san is annoying kind of sometimes. But
Yeah.
he's also really cute. See what I did?
I know, he's so
cute.
I like Grizzly.
Grizzly's
He's so
good.
soon.
Yeah.
He's so soon did it. About
Oh.
I've
his
never seen
relationship.
this show.
It's
Oh,
yeah. So Shirokuma Cafe about a bunch of animals, and Polar Bear runs this cafe, and just but they're friends and they're like adventurers kind of thing. It's really cute. Yeah. So that's some things that I like, and Kill la Kill is my number one. So
oh
All right,
really?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that's all I have to say. All
Wait,
right.
are you currently watching
No,
through Kill?
no,
okay,
I watched
okay.
it when it was
Got right,
Just
right.
in
airing,
life.
but
In
yeah,
life.
It's I aspire to be Satsuki, so you know,
Perfect.
she's perfection. Anyway, so Megan, what are you up to?
So a lot of people were asking us to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
And they should.
Which
yeah.
I had never
Correct.
seen before. So guess what I went out and did? I actually went out and watched the first 3 episodes.
Of
You are
wait, of
awesome.
Stardust
Of which
Crusaders
are-
or the
no,
like
the,
first
the
season?
2012, the start
Oh,
of
okay.
So the one when they're in the 1880s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's JoJo versus Dio.
More accurately,
Well,
it's Danny the dog
like
versus
always.
Dio in the first episode.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying that
Yeah, yeah.
what's
I'm
interesting
making jokes.
about Dio is that he's voiced by Takeshito Koyasu, who's
Mhm.
one of my favorite Japanese seiyuu
Mm.
ever. So I was super happy about that. And I will say that this show actually lives up to the name Bizarre. Because I had no idea what it was going to be about. And I was
Mhm.
like, all right, this is getting super crazy, super fast. But I like it because the script is really tight. Like, there was never a point where I was ever bored or didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on.
Yeah,
And
it's
you're
like
like a
that.
super, super hated Dio. Like,
Yeah.
immediately you're just like, there's.
But don't you kind of love Dio
I love
too?
Dio.
I think I think what it
That
is
face
you're
says
supposed
no.
to, like, you love to hate him, right? Like, because
Sort of,
he's
yeah.
super.
I love to love him.
I
He's
kind of just
super
love
evil.
him.
Okay, well, okay, I don't know what to say to that because he's super evil.
Maybe we're just like twisted. Or
I don't know. I what I like about Dio is how inexplicably
unapologetic.
evil he is. Like,
Yeah.
there's not even a good explanation for it. He's just like,
They-
I'm
they
just evil
sorta
because
try.
the plot works if I'm really
They sort
evil.
of try with his dad, but after a while, they're just like, no, he's
Yeah.
not. I think
It's
one
just-
character actually says, you're actually not. It has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the fact that you were abused as a child. You're just a really bad person.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
And I
bad.
kind of liked that, and it's like these crazy over-the-top action scenes, and it's super violent, which
Mhm.
I didn't expect at all. But it's like somebody was explaining like some of the melodrama is deliberate. Like
Uh-huh.
it's like super over the top
Ju-
on purpose.
Yeah.
That's the thing
the
about it
thing
that makes
about
it, but it makes
JoJo.
it tough because I showed it to somebody from our office and he didn't like it very much because he was like, I think it's just bad. Like at first I thought it was intentionally trying to be silly, but maybe it's just bad. And I was like, well, sometimes it kind of is, and sometimes it's intentionally doing it, but it doesn't matter because if you just like let it go, let it wash over you, it's so silly that it's just fun to watch
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was like, I'm not really laughing per se. Like it's
yeah.
too dark, but it's like the super dark black comedy.
Yeah.
Like, when you
Which in
start to
Japan is
realize-
hella funny.
Well, I think that it's. I think that's the thing, though. I feel like there's this cultural difference that I'm just not being able to get through.
It's
like,
to me, it's very similar to like I enjoy a lot of really dumb 80s and 90s OVAs, which a lot of times, especially with like the bad English dubs that they got, the enjoyment of them is not because they're like good
Angel
stories. It's just because they're like Angel Cop. It's just because they're stupid.
They're dumb.
But like they're somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say so bad it's good, but like they are.
I don't think
just they're really
JoJo,
fun to
like,
watch because they're
yeah.
dumb.
JoJo isn't gonna teach you anything.
Yeah.
It's not gonna like make you feel like a good
It's
person
not gonna
at the end of the
inspire
day.
you. You're just gonna be like, this is
Um,
silly.
Yeah, and the people who watch JoJo, it is like a niche audience for
Mhm.
sure. People that want like dumb action, like stupid
Right.
dumb.
it's very Shonen Jump. I mean, it was in
Well, yeah.
Shonen
oh yeah,
Jump.
it is Shonen Jump.
It's like
yeah.
prototypical for the modern Shonen Jump kind of thing.
It is. I definitely think that it's that huge over the top, like guys punching each other and blood everywhere and tons of action sequences.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, this is very Shonen Jump. So when I looked it up, sure enough, it was
Yeah.
in Shonen Jump for like since like the 1980s or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's still
It
running.
took a
It's
really
still
long
running, too.
time for America to like realize that JoJo would work over here.
Yeah.
Um,
There were little attempts, like
yeah.
the OVA came out, the part 3 came out in manga form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But JoJo's like really Japanese. Like
Mhm.
what it's giving, what it's serving, I think is just like a very Japanese like sort of comedy and shonen adventure that over here
Yeah.
like people didn't really grasp.
And I've
at.
studied Japanese for years and years. I've studied the culture and the language, and I still am just like, something about this show is just so whoosh, over my
Yeah.
head right now. So maybe I have to watch a few more episodes. I've only watched the first 3, so maybe by the 5th episode, I'm hoping it will click.
Are
But
you,
it's
are
not-
you,
it's
are
not
you
bad.
noticing all the characters named after rock stars and stuff? Because that's
Yeah,
one of
it's
the best
kind of
parts.
crazy. Apparently,
Yeah.
the creator loves like rock
Mhm.
stars. He likes Italy, so like their fighting form is like I guess JoJo gets trained by like an Italian. What is it called? Like Hamon master.
Hamon, yeah.
And I'm just like, man, I
The
think I have
ripple.
to keep watching because it gets crazier, and I feel like maybe
Yeah.
by the 5th or 6th episode it will click.
Oh, wait, so that means if you've met Zappelli, then you've also met the best character, Robert E.
So
O.
upset.
Speedwagon. Has he shown up yet?
I don't.
No? Oh,
Maybe he
okay.
has. Is he the one with the cool
Maybe not.
hat?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's the
I like
best.
that. I like that character a lot. Like I liked him immediately.
Yeah, he's walking exposition, which is great because there's also a narrator. That's another part. That's like the thing
That's
that
so
makes
funny,
JoJo's really
yeah.
funny is like the narrator will say something and Speedwagon will also say it, and you're like, was that a joke? I don't know.
No, I like Speedwagon a
Yeah.
lot. He was really cool, and I love his hat. I thought
Yeah.
that was like the raddest, like weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Well.
I've seen of JoJo is crazy memes. Like I haven't had a chance to watch
You
it.
should watch it.
but
It's so good.
I'll get around to
Yeah,
it.
I
for
also
sure.
watched Trigun,
Oh, okay,
another
yeah.
series I had never seen before, and I
Okay.
love
It's a good show.
Trigun already.
How far in?
I'm still also on the first 3 episodes. I mean, I'm trying to watch both these shows, and I have to find time for them, so I can't binge watch any of them. I can't watch 12 episodes. In a row,
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm really loving it. Although I have to say that the whole "is it Vosh the Stampede?" Yes,
Mhm.
it is. Meryl just
Right.
you know,
Kind of the
unless the big
premise,
twist
yeah.
later is that he's not. But so far, I really like this show. It's like really goofy. It's got good action.
So
You're watching
I-
it in English?
Oh, I like
I
the
actually
dub.
I
Yeah.
switch between sub and dub.
I
So
like,
I
I
like
like
to
the
give the
dub of
dub
that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like
Johnny
the dub
Young
of it.
Bosch's first gig.
I think that's one of the like Sometimes he doesn't fit his roles.
Yeah, that's
But that's
like,
one where he really, it's like spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love like the Trigun dub. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I actually, what I do for all these anime is I'll watch one in sub and one in dub just to compare them, because
Yeah.
I sometimes think that dub gets a bad rap. Like, there actually are some really
Yeah.
good
It really does.
dub actors.
Like there's a lot of really great dubs out there, but people just like get that little snooty. Whoa, subs are better.
There's a couple
think
that I
the
really
way-
like.
Sometimes I understand that though. I mean, like the voice acting is just so different. Like the styles,
Yeah.
like the people they can get for the Japanese voice acting is obviously a bit more abundant, and they have like casting in mind when they're like creating characters,
Yeah.
and they can do
But
different things.
it's gotten a lot better now. But
Yeah.
like there were times where like the localization would completely change like the context of the conversations
right.
and
Yeah.
things like that. So I think
Sometimes that can be good. Penny and
can be
Stocking
good,
has
yeah.
a really good dub that changes what they're saying sometimes
Yeah.
to make it funnier.
Yeah, exactly. And like if I hear something in a dub first, I like want to hear the dub. So like I can
Yeah.
only watch Cowboy Bebop and Inuyasha and like Sailor Moon and things like that dubbed.
Oh, yeah,
like the
that makes
originals at
sense.
least. Like I like the Deke dub of Sailor Moon, like the best.
I actually do too. I just think that
Yeah.
it's interesting they went through so many voices for so
Yeah.
many
There's
different
too
characters.
much.
Apparently, there's a lot of drama with that. I'm sorry, Lena, go ahead.
Oh, it's Sailor Moon.
I was just gonna say, I don't know. For me, like, I don't think it's like a snooty thing. It's sometimes.
Well, some
like,
people get very snooty.
Yeah.
about
That's
it,
true.
though.
That's
They can
totally
be, yeah.
true. But I do think I would say that dubs have definitely gotten a lot better, and that's
Yeah.
great. But for me, it's kind of like my personality is the kind of thing where it's like I always get a little weird about movie adaptations of books, because then I feel like I don't know what the source material is. And so it's kind of the same thing with subs, right? So I have like a really limited grasp on Japanese, but enough that like I can listen and kind of compare what like they've actually put in subtitles versus what they're saying, so I can try to grasp more like cultural significance of things.
I think especially for people who don't speak enough Japanese, the thing to think about is Japanese people watching anime don't read subtitles. So by reading
Right.
subtitles, you're already giving yourself a different experience. The dub is kind of diverges in one area, gives you a different language, but it also brings you closer in another area because you're not reading subtitles, you're listening the same way a Japanese audience would listen.
And I actually just took an ADR class with Kathy Garver, who does a lot of ADR work down in LA, and it's actually really hard. I mean,
yeah.
you have the thankless task of trying to not only like convey the emotions, but fit the mouth
Fit it.
The mouth
movements,
flaps.
which is super,
Which
super
they
tough to do.
don't fit in Japan because the audiences
They
are
throw
used
it
to them
after.
not fitting, so you have to
Yeah.
reverse engineer it in the US.
Yeah, which is super,
Yeah.
super crazy.
And there are certain shows in Japan, especially, where they don't even animate the mouth until the audio is recorded. So
Yeah.
you don't have to do that whatsoever.
Right.
Lena, what you up to? What you watching?
Oh, so I started my love story because you were
Oh,
because
man.
you were so like excited about it, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you know what? This week I think I need a break from all like the blood and the punching and the stabbing. Let's do something a little happier.
So sweet.
And I wasn't actually expecting to like it, but I have so far. It's really funny. I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting that
that's the best
angle
part.
to it, and I think it made it really refreshing because of that. Just because there's just so much, and we were talking about this on an earlier episode. Since you guys don't know, that part, but we had kind of talked about like it would be nice to see more anime that's not based solely like in high school or that experience.
Yeah.
And even though this is still that kind of like junior high school sort of
Yeah.
thing, because he has such a deep voice and like how they characterize
He
him.
looks like a Yakuza member,
Right.
right?
It's part of the
He's
joke,
like Andre
yeah.
the Giant, basically, and it just kind of lends this whole like different angle to it that makes it very fresh, new, very different.
Yeah.
And
It's a
very
new take
funny.
on a shoujo manga.
Super
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, well, what I like about it is I think we talked about this on our show, that it's a shoujo manga premise, but where they kind of twist it a little bit, and they're like, what if the protagonist was like the protagonist of like a hard-boiled seinen manga instead, right? And like just sub him in.
And then that's what makes that, like, it makes it so funny, right? Where it's this guy who sounds like he could break someone in two, and then
Right.
you realize he's 14.
Oh, someone
And-
got their growth spurt.
And then there's like other comedic bits, and this is kind of why I was talking about that whole sub thing, because for me, it's like how they subbed it versus what they are saying adds this whole extra element. So there's parts where, his best friend, the really good looking guy
Yeah.
that everyone likes, or he's just telling a series of girls through the
No.
years, like, I don't like you, right?
Yeah.
But there's one point where he says kirai, which is in Japanese really strong.
Yeah.
Like, I basically, I hate your
nope.
guts. Like, nope. But they just translated it as really mild, like, I don't like you. And that made me laugh because I was like, oh, they made it so much nicer. And that's why that girl, like, fell over and, like, wanted to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How many episodes have you watched so far?
I think at this point I'm like halfway through the second one. I didn't really get really far.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
super busy like Miranda, unfortunately.
Did you see the scene with like the cell phone where she's like texting him?
The
And it has like all
emoticons and
animations.
stuff, yeah,
he's
the
like,
emojis.
What the heck is this?
They're using
Like,
lines.
That's
so
great.
cute.
Yeah.
Because they start moving and he sees like the second time he gets, he's like, they move now.
He's never like got a
Holy
text.
crap, they move.
And that's what is cool about it is they're both like extremely naive.
Yeah, that's
about
the
like
best part.
falling in love. Like you expect like he's gonna be naive because of the way he looks or whatever, but then she
So
is
she,
as
yeah.
well, which is super cute.
Mm-hmm.
She
Well,
like
she-
doesn't know what to do. She's
makes
like,
sense
I
'cause that's-
made you this, and he's like, you didn't. Like he's just oblivious and stupid.
Right.
I love him.
Yeah.
Well, and
I
that's
know.
sort of like a shoujo
yeah.
trope, right?
Mhm.
Is like this girl who's kind of like a ditz or whatever. She's like kind of naive.
But then
But
her
it's
love
interesting 'cause
interest
it's
always
also-
like has a grasp.
Right, so it's both of them are really naive
Yeah.
and dumb. Yeah.
I texted Miranda, I think, or I messaged her at one point where I said, there's this one line where he says, well, I got a cake out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sold. I'm going to watch a few more episodes
I know.
of this.
It also just does things that you don't see much anime do in terms of love interest stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like once you get to I think it's episode 3, they do something that's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I
It's
love
like,
that it takes the tropes and sort of turns it on its head.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just-
I think
it's
I know what
just
you're
so
talking
good.
about because I read the manga, but I'm not
Okay.
caught up with the anime.
Okay, yeah. But it's,
It's like the scene everybody was waiting for.
Mhm.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, cool. I mean, there's 24 episodes. Where's this going to go?
Yeah.
So, but
Is it? I
it's
thought
good.
it was like going to be way shorter because I'm like,
Nope,
how long can
24.
they stretch this out
So
for?
I am excited. But what are you guys watching? So obviously
Wow.
we
I'm watching. Have you started Punchline yet,
No.
Evan? Oh man. Oh man.
So-
Have you?
I watched the first episode and I was like,
Okay, see, that's
I wasn't
it.
super
That's
into
why.
the humor.
Keep watching it.
That's what I've heard. So my friends are like, I'm like on episode 6 now, and maybe I'll keep. Maybe I'll just like marathon them. Like that's what I
Yeah,
heard. Just like
yeah.
watch a few in a row.
If,
and then,
literally, if you watch 3, like I was that way with Kill It Kill.
yeah.
I watched the first episode and I said, nope.
I don't understand how one can
Done.
possibly do that. That
So,
first
no,
episode
I
sold me
totally-
so
I
much.
totally get that though, because I kind of had the feeling. But then both of my best friends who I watch anime with were just
Mhm.
like, no, Murdy, just like they just kept talking about it. I was like,
Yeah.
why do you keep talking about this? I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
And then I did. I was like, my eyes are open. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, the character designs are just like extremely appealing. Like it's beautiful. Like it's animated super
Yeah.
well. It's dumb. Like the main character is a superhero. Her name, when translated, like loosely means superhero. Like in Japanese, it's dumb. There's another character who has glasses, and her name, like loosely translated, is like a great genius inventor. And like all their names are super funny. There's a woman whose name means jiggly boobs, and she has the biggest boobs. But this is like all aside, not even part of what makes it great. It's really like it's written actually by the same writer who did the Zero Escape series and 999. Like
Oh.
the video
Oh,
game.
okay.
Yeah. So and it's like the anime I think that he's written. I don't think he's done anything else. Or she. Sorry, I don't even know exactly. But it's really silly and stupid. It's about a boy who. Do you guys know anything about it?
No.
Oh, okay. This is great. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about a boy who is caught in a fight between the main girl and like some enemy, like villain guy, and he dies. And then he wakes up like as a ghost, and some ghost cat greets him and says like, "Hey, like you're dead, like or someone took your body or
Right,
something.
Like his body was possessed. And he
Yeah.
got kicked out.
You're a spirit now, so you're like kind of dead, but you're not really dead. Like your body's walking around like in your apartment still." And he's like, "Okay, cool. What do I do?" And the cat is like really lazy and doesn't really even want to explain to him what happens. He's like drunk and stuff, and he's like, "Well, I mean, you can find like something called the what does he call it? Nondala gondola." That's all he
Something
says.
like
It's
that,
like
yeah.
find the Nondala gondola and like you'll get your body back.
Back up, the cat is drunk or
The cat.
The cat
Yeah,
is
oh,
that's
yeah.
weird.
All right,
He's
I
just
like
like
this
lazy and
cat
drunk,
so
and this
far.
cat is always watching. Like every time he opens his computer, he has to like click out of YouTube where he's watching cats like have sex, and then like get to what he wants to show the protagonist. But this boy is like
I follow
a spirit
that channel
thing.
on YouTube.
Do you?
Yeah, yeah.
You have a
Cat
subscription?
porn. Yeah.
Awesome, cool, good to know. Know what to get you for your birthday now. I'm so bad at explaining anime. This is the best. So anyways, he's a ghost. He's a spirit. The cat is lazy, but tells him, find this thing and you can get your body back. Oh, by the way, if you get too excited, an asteroid is going to hit the Earth.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever this ghost spots one of the girls' like underwear or panties, he gets like really excited, and then he has to like hide and like calm down. But if he sees them again or he's just like stimulated a lot, an asteroid comes and destroys the Earth.
Yep. So weird.
That's it. And so there's all these hijinks happening, and he's learning about the women that live in the apartment complex at the same time trying to find this Nondala gondola and investigating like who maybe took his body. And there's a lot of panty shots, so the Earth is destroyed like at least once an episode.
Yeah, but he can go
And
back
then
in time
everything
'cause
like
he's a
goes back in
ghost.
time. Yeah, he like
So
resets.
he gets
And he tries again.
Because he's a ghost. Like,
Yeah,
like
just
that's just
because.
part of the
Blinks-
ghost
it's like
rules that I
Blinks the
wasn't aware
Time
of.
Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're fine. Just go back a few
Yeah.
years. It's fine.
But every time it resets, like the plot sort of like resets too, and he makes a different decision. So it gives the audience, I think, time to like really ingest what's going on in their world, because right now, like the latest episode, things are finally getting kind of dark. The same way, not Kill la Kill was dark, but it was like getting to the point of like what's happening.
Right.
Because when you first watch Kill la Kill, I think you're like, what is this about?
Like, it has an overall, like, story premise kind of thing, but it's not really that.
It's not really that. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So Punchline now, episode 4, is like sort of revealing what's actually going on. Like, it's not about finding the non-de gondola. And it's not about like who these girls seem to be. It's like who they actually are and how they're connected. So that's finally like being revealed. But it's really silly.
It sounds a bit like Majora's Mask, right? With like the
Yeah.
back in time
With a lot
apocalyptic.
more panty shots.
Right,
is
right.
what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
I'm like a fan service like freak. Like give it like let me see all that. Like I'm down. And it's beautiful and all the girls are really hot, and like in between like commercial breaks, like there's like the beautiful art of them in like lingerie. And they say the name of the anime, but like they like moan it. It's really
Right.
funny. I don't know. I love it. It's like stupid and dumb.
So I don't mind, like, some fan service, but I thought, like, the penny jokes and stuff weren't that funny for me. I was just like,
Yeah. Well,
nah.
the first
Yeah.
episode they're really blatant. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I fell. But
Yeah, I was
like,
like, really?
as it goes on, they get really creative with how they reveal the panty shots. Like,
Ah, yes.
no, come on, I'm
So
serious.
tasteful.
Very, very smart
There's
use of
this one
panties in
part-
this show.
There's this one part where the main character is on a bike and she's transformed into her superhero like thing, and she's leaving, and another girl's like thread of her dress is cut on the bike, and so the girl leaves, and slowly her thing is like completely unraveled, and it reveals it, and then the world explodes. But I don't know, I'm
silly show.
into
but
it. Yeah,
I'll probably give it another shot sometime.
if only because it's pretty and the
yeah,
opening is amazing.
I love the design so much.
Yeah.
It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, try 3
But, okay.
episode test.
Yeah.
Please.
That's what we talked about last time.
Yeah.
Oh,
oh,
always.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
3
okay,
episode
good.
test,
Yeah.
Always.
I don't believe in it. I do the
Really?
3 Google image search test. I don't have time for 3
And you
episodes.
still
This
watched
doesn't
Inferno
have enough
Top.
panties. I'm out.
So yeah, we're saying it's like 3 episodes. If you're interested in the premise at all, then
Yeah.
you probably should at least give it the 3.
That's
I'm-
why I was
Go for it.
watching Trigun and JoJo in like threes. Like
yeah.
you have to
Right.
at least watch 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I have so little time that the way that I do it is I just watch, like, if it looks at all interesting based on, whatever art I see, I'll
Right.
give it 1 episode. And if that 1 episode isn't interesting enough, I highly doubt that they're going to have it in them to make it better. Not that it has to be the best. Like, Kill la Kill got better after the first episode, but I loved it
Right.
in the first
Have
episode.
you seen Madoka?
Yeah, that first episode's
Oh,
interesting
so
enough.
Good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like episode 4, I think is
Yeah.
the episode.
The
It's
episode.
like
Well,
3 or
3
4.
is the
No, it's
episode.
3. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 3.
But-
Just like the 3
Yeah.
episode test. It's fine.
Just use that. So I talked a lot about panties, so I don't think I'm going to talk any more about panties because I am also watching Food Wars, and
Yeah,
it's
we've
just
talked
a
about
lot
that.
more.
I love it.
Oh, okay.
It's so good
Why do you love Food Wars?
because it's funny. I
But
mean,
you don't like Punchline.
so
Uh-oh.
I don't like
You're
the,
getting
like,
cross-examined.
So the first
Yeah.
episode of Punchline, I didn't think it was very. It just wasn't funny. Like
Yeah.
the penny shots just weren't. Like,
Yeah, they're
you
not
said,
fun- it's
weren't
not
It's hard to
impactful. It was-
articulate
yeah.
what makes
That
something
was the
funny or
thing.
not
Yeah,
to
it's
you.
not
Yeah.
funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but whereas Food Wars,
It's very blatantly
it's very
funny.
blatantly like very like this is what happens when you taste amazing food, and they just do like really great art with it. And it's just like hilarious.
Yeah.
So it kind of like works in a different way.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like panty shot. It's like okay, well those are cute underwear, but I mean that's about it.
Yeah, okay.
But
I see there's
so-
more jokes with Food Wars.
Right. So it's
It's
like
like blatant.
and
It's like in your
also-
face.
and also it has like it already established like a cool premise
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, they're
the whole
completely
cooking.
different series.
Right.
One is like a
absolutely.
shonen battle
Yeah.
manga, and one is like an original thing about panties and a ghost cat.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. so it's
okay.
like it's totally different, but I mean, that's just I like it.
Yeah.
I like the cooking too.
So I love Food Wars. I'm like a huge Tosh fan, who's the artist, and
yeah, I heard you guys talk about that on your show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm, well. Anyways, Evan, what are you watching?
All right, then. Good
now to
save.
I'm gonna give myself away too much.
So I'm
Too
actually
often.
reading some manga.
Oh.
I was on like a plane this weekend flying to Michigan, so I actually read some manga, which I don't usually kind of make time for nowadays. So I read Prophecy, which I've heard a lot of good things about. It's Vertical is putting it out, and it's this manga about
What is it?
internet vigilantes, basically. So they wear newspaper over their faces and they go around taking revenge on people who have done bad things, whatever it is, whatever they determine to be bad. So they do it to.
Well, this is getting
how
too
do they-
real. This sounds too real.
No,
So
me.
how
I
do
mean, it's
they
kind of
do it?
dark.
How do they do it on the internet? Like,
Oh,
internet?
right. So they do it like they announce who their next target is on YouTube. Like they publish it on YouTube with these like dummy accounts that they delete immediately after, and they do things like I think it was there's some sort of there's a company that puts out food that's tainted, because they didn't have good enough safety standards or something, and they attack the people who did that, and like
Okay.
anybody who commits these crimes that they're not being punished for by the law, right?
So that kind of reminds me of Terror and Resonance, except
Okay,
with a more social good.
Right.
Like instead of just being a personal kind of
Right.
vendetta.
Yeah.
The interesting part about it, though, is it's not. It doesn't really make clear that they are the good guys. So you're following both them and the police who are after them, and you're sort of like, well,
sounds
these
awesome.
guys are kind of. They might be bad. Like they probably shouldn't be doing this. It's not that they're heroes. They're just interesting characters doing this bad thing for maybe a good reason. And I'm sort of spoiling it because I said people, but it's sort of at the beginning of it, it looks like it's just one person, and it turns out that it's this conspiracy between about 5 different people who are sort of making the police think it's a single person. It's very interesting because they do things like upload the video remotely through a net cafe, so it looks like they were there. So the police come and go there, and they're like, "Oh, nobody's here," right? And there's all
Right.
sorts of like interesting little tricks that they do like that, and it's pretty cool. I only read the first volume, but
Cool.
yeah.
Let's check that out.
The other one is way less serious. you
But
you
really
know,
good.
it's the best.
Yeah. Oh, you're watching the spin-off too.
Yes, they're the same show. So I'm going to talk
Yeah,
about Take
I
You.
love the spin-off, and I haven't
Takumi-
seen Take
oh,
You.
You've seen the spinoff.
Yeah.
Take You is just the same thing. Okay, so
But
I'm talking
I love
about
her.
Okay, I'm talking about Take You. Oh, she is you. The show's called Take You. It's about tennis. I think it's based on some pun about the word for tennis in Japanese or something. But it's about girls in high school who play tennis, which sounds like a dumb anime premise. The thing is, every episode is 2 minutes long, and it just crams all the jokes into 2 minutes, and they're super, super
They
fast.
speak really fast.
It's
They're
sort
like,
of a manzai routine, right? Because it's like there's the one straight. Actually, the other show is like that
yeah,
too.
the other one.
There's
It's
the one
butler.
straight man, and then everybody else is crazy, and they're just going like doing weird things that are very surreal. It's hard to describe. I think the best way to describe it that I came up with though is, have you guys seen Azumanga Daioh? No? Oh wow.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Well, in Azumanga Daioh, there's a character who has these like pigtails, right?
Just takes them
And
off.
right at one point, the characters just pop the pigtails off, and they're like, "Wait, what?" And it's like this completely out of nowhere surreal joke in the middle of the show. Take You is like that, but you just do
The
that
whole time.
nonstop, yeah. And then there's a spin-off show called Takemiya Nasuno Des, which is about one girl from Take You, but it's just more Take You because like part of the joke is that by episode 3, the other girls from Take You just show up in her show.
So it's just Take
So
You.
it's just the same show.
It's like, oh, surprise. It's the same
And they're
show.
only 2 minutes long. Each
2
of
minutes.
These
And they air back to back in Japan. So I don't know if you're caught up with Takemiya Nasuno.
Oh, I'm not, no.
But there's an episode of Take You, of the new season of Take You, where they go to the beach. And then the episode that airs immediately after that from Takemiya
She's on
Nasuno
the
is
beach.
her coming back from the beach. And the other
is
Take
so
You girls are back from the
cool.
beach. And her butler, who's the main
Yeah.
character of that show, is like, wait, what's going on? Why is there a shark? And he's like, oh, we're just picking up from the last episode.
It's really like self-aware and super funny and like
Yeah.
very fast and like watching it on our breaks, like
Yeah.
just on our phones.
A good example of like the kind of joke that they do is she sends the butler, she's like, oh yeah, those are your sleeping quarters. And he's like, wait, it's in a treehouse. Why is it in a treehouse?
Yeah.
And she's like, put on your butler uniform, and it's a sheep
sheep
costume. And
costume.
he's like, why is it a sheep costume? And then she like comes up the treehouse and goes, are you awake yet? And he's like, oh, did you climb the ladder? And then he looks, and she didn't climb the ladder. Her neck just got super long and snaked all the way up. And it's like, nothing makes any sense.
It's really stupid.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
It's the best.
Have you seen that? I don't understand anything my husband
Yeah,
is saying.
so it's very similar.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love that little thing too,
haven't
where
seen
she's
that.
like, she has this otaku husband, but she doesn't know anime
Mhm.
at all, and so trying to understand her husband's point of view about anything is
Yeah.
super.
And he's just like
confusing.
an engineer. Like he's a salaryman. Like they don't
Right.
speak the same language. She's like an ex like Yaru, like Yankee
Mm-hmm.
from high school, and they're like walking down the street one day, like trying to find ramen. Like she really wants to have ramen.
Oh, I saw that clip.
Yeah, she really wants to have ramen, and like she's pointing out all the like destruction that her like senpai did like in high school on the way and stuff. It's super funny. I love that show.
Oh, cool.
It's so dumb. I love everything dumb.
All right.
I love anime.
Well, you'd like the other show I was going to talk
anime.
about. We probably should move on, though.
Yeah.
Up to you.
Yeah, let's go
I
ahead.
just want to name drop
Sorry,
Ninja
Evan.
Slayer because it's cool,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then we can move on. Yeah.
And done.
have thoughts, but yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about Crunchyroll.
All right.
Where you guys work. We had like a ton of questions. Thank you guys for your questions. They were great.
Thanks.
A lot about licensing and like how shows get on Crunchyroll. I mean, obviously we've got to hear a little bit about what you guys do, but I know a lot of people want to know. So also personal stuff about you guys.
Yeah.
Just kind of get started. How did you guys get your jobs? And Joshua Torren Reyes asked, I think, in our Facebook group, which you should join.
Yeah, I want to.
I'm already in
I
it.
didn't even know that
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's good. He says, which anime, manga, movie, OVA, etc. played an important part in choosing your careers you have today? So, and they're also the
Alright.
same part as your favorites.
That's an interesting
Into
question.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
were you
so-
inspired by? I already have my answer.
Really?
Like, come on.
Okay.
I went to school because Naruto got up.
Oh, right. That's true. You would never be here today if it
No,
weren't for Naruto.
For lots of reasons.
Okay.
Because I only got my job from cosplaying Tsunade.
Oh, see, you have a more direct reason.
Not the only, but that like
Right,
was
right.
the thing that like catalyst.
So I think that the question has maybe a premise there that's interesting to address, which is that like anime directly was like the
Influences our
inspiration,
lives,
right?
yeah.
Which it's not really. I mean, Crunchyroll is a
For
job
you.
that I got, for me at least.
Yeah.
But I think even for you, like anime in general was probably the inspiration, not any particular anime that made you want to work at Crunchyroll, right?
True.
Like
Not
just
that,
your interest
like,
in the medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to work in the industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's lots of anime that I guess we can talk about that inspired us to be fans in the first place.
True.
Or I can also, there are probably some titles that have direct relevance to
Mhm.
like the path I took to get here. So it's weird, like the Studio Dean Fate Stay Night is the first show I reviewed for Otaku USA, and that got me some connections that eventually kind of led to working in the anime industry.
I heard that's a really good anime, by the way.
The new UFO
one.
Table one. Don't
New
get it
one.
confused. The Studio Dean one is not very good. That's
Yeah.
the one I had to review.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The new one you can pick up like nothing. You can just you don't need to really know anything about Fate Stay or
Yeah.
the Fate universe type.
But you
thing.
didn't know anything for the Studio Dean one. It just wasn't very good.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm saying
Right.
go ahead and watch
Oh,
the new
oh,
one
yeah,
like,
yeah,
without
yeah. So watch-
reservation.
It's just a reboot, yeah. So you
Unlimited
can
Blade
just
Works.
restart.
It's really good.
Alright.
Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, but
Man, I had a list here of things. But what are
Well,
some other shows from you?
Definitely not like I tried to live my life the way Naruto Uzumaki lives. I'm not kidding.
that's really good.
So like I've always been like not impulsive, but I guess like brave. Like I wanted to work in the industry, so I was like, how do I do that? Like I sort of like do art and stuff in college. I guess I'll do graphic design. So I just like picked up my entire life, put it in my truck, and like drove to San Diego to go to art school there. And just like I'm super unafraid like when making connections. Like whenever people ask me like how do I get a job in the industry, I'm like it's who you know or it's who knows who you are. So
Yeah.
like making the effort to like whatever you want to do, like write blogs, you know, meet people at conventions, things like that. And so Naruto doesn't care about what anyone thinks. Like he's just gonna march up and be like, do you know who I am? I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Like you should know who I am. And so I do come off that way probably still. But and then I actually got my job. I'm not gonna like go into like a lot of detail about the story because it's long and I've just like I tell it every single convention.
Yeah.
But I was sort of like at a Halloween party, right place, right time, met somebody, and then later he looked me up and saw that I like cosplayed Tsunade and was like, oh, you look like her, like this is great. You should come on the Crunchyroll live show. And so I came onto the Crunchyroll live show, eventually was asked back to be a host, like a co-host, and just never left. I sort of like was a cat that like stayed around the office until they decided to like take me in. So I was doing a bunch of like free editing work and like just hanging out and stuff like for this show, and they eventually offered me like a full-time position. So
The person you met
Awesome.
is
Yeah.
Patrick, right? The
Yeah.
editor for Otaku USA,
Yeah.
who was ironically not the way that I got into Crunchyroll, even though
Yeah,
I knew
even
him
though
and he
also
worked at
works
Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, if I had to name a show, it's not that it inspired me, but I believe the first time that I sent a courtesy email to Keith Kawamura
yeah.
was when another writer on my blog, Anigamers, wrote a review of Nisei Monogatari.
Yeah.
And I sent a courtesy email because Keith, somebody worked at Crunchyroll, or he still works
He
there.
was a brand
He's a
manager
brand
at the
manager.
time.
And I give everybody this advice if like you're starting a blog, like send courtesy emails to publishers and stuff, being like, hey, we reviewed this thing, right? And
Yeah.
Keith saw this and went, oh, hey, do you want a free account so you can do more reviews? And so kind of started this relationship with Crunchyroll as a blogger. And I think I wrote some other stuff that he liked, like a Kids on the Slope review. And then ended up, when I wanted a job at Crunchyroll as a developer, I emailed him and got a recommendation. So again, like knowing people, I just knew somebody at Crunchyroll.
Just
So
Yeah.
let's get this out of the way. What are
Okay.
your like top tips for working in the anime industry or people trying to get in? Because we always
Yeah,
get that
we talk
question.
about
You
this
guys,
in
of course,
panels.
get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You have your panel, so if you guys
Well,
have an anime convention, attend their panels if that's what you want. But
in particular, we do working in the anime industry where we talk about that.
Yeah, but like I said, I think my top tip is just meeting people that already work in the industry, whether it be you'll learn a lot from them just from their stories, but also like making a connection, something that you can later like rely on when, like, say I know somebody who's working at Crunchyroll and then I see there's an engineering position open and I say, hey, just so you know, I'm doing this. You know, if they know you well enough, they may refer you, and that can carry a lot of weight.
My advice, which is not the advice that people generally want to hear, is don't make it your lifelong goal to work in the anime industry.
Oh, yeah.
Most people working at Crunchyroll did not do that. Most people, and probably most anime companies, they made it their goal to, find a good job somewhere, and ended up kind of finding this place that had something that they liked about it. But just like be good at whatever it is you do, and be on the lookout and always be open for, stuff that you're interested in, but don't tie yourself down to that, because it's very easy to do that and then just end up somewhere you don't like because you're so focused on just working in this relatively small industry where there are only so many spots open.
yeah, it's kind of similar.
Similar
Similar like games journalism.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, you have to keep an open mind. I mean, just be good at what you do and just enjoy what you do.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
and I think passion and like knowledge of the product, like so liking anime and like loving anime and being really into anime is like a huge thing that is very important and valuable. But a lot of people when applying or like thinking that they're going to work in the industry, like they think that is the focus. Like, oh, like I'm a perfect fit there because I love anime and things like that. And it's like, that is a great thing to have, and I look for that personally, and I look like that. I look for that personally when we're like interviewing people, but I think like being good at what you're applying for is like the most important. So
especially outside of brand management, the anime connection. Oh, I'm sure, absolutely. Like you guys would probably much rather get somebody who's super, super competent rather than somebody who is not very good but loves anime, right?
Yeah,
like it's not that useful.
Yeah, there's like skills that you should also have. So like researching the position that you're applying for, goes a long way.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm talking to no one, but yeah.
Yeah, and outside of brand management though, like we hire tons of people who aren't even super into anime because it's like that's bonus points. That's like, oh cool, you're a culture fit for the company.
Right.
Yeah, and then we've hired people just, are they a good programmer? Are they good at doing QA? And yeah, basically, if you're really good at what you do, you can probably find a job in any industry that you want to work in. Just kind of always be open to it, but don't focus on
Hone
like,
your skills.
I love games, I love anime. Like, yeah.
And sometimes you can like interview not as well as you could have if you weren't like trying to overly convey that you're a fan.
Right.
Because that will sort of like, we're trying to get to know you, like not only as a fan, like dude, I know you love anime, you're like here in a One Piece shirt, things like that.
Be yourself, like
be
be a person.
Be yourself. Yeah.
Not just a fan.
I think Zach Bershey from Anime News Network has always said about hiring writers, he's like, we hire good writers first and foremost, and then we look at how well do you know anime.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, solid tips.
Solid tips.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to you straight.
Yeah. So more Crunchyroll stuff.
Okay.
Sorry guys, names. I practiced this name before.
Himanshu.
So yeah, Himanshu Talwar says on, I think, Facebook group somewhere.
Yeah,
anyway,
probably.
he says,
He says.
asks, aside from language barrier, what are some of the difficulties in bringing new anime overseas? So obviously,
Yeah.
you guys bring us all a lot of cool anime. So how does that happen?
Nowadays, there isn't actually a language barrier, I think, in the anime industry. A question we get a lot at our Working in the Anime Industry panel is, like, do I have to speak Japanese? Do I have to know Japanese to, like, work at Crunchyroll? Not necessarily for, like, an engineering thing, but, like,
or at
for
all
one
for
of
an
my
engineering
jobs. Or
thing.
at all,
Yeah.
Right.
And, like, the people that are working in the anime industry in Japan speak English. So I can have entire meetings in English. I've never really met a publisher or even a partner in Japan that I couldn't have a conversation with.
It's not that everyone speaks it, but that there's always somebody, there's
at
always
that
a representative,
company. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
who speaks English, right? Yeah.
But even then, like, in Japan, you learn English in school, so it's very rare that I meet anybody in Japan that I can't have, like, a basic conversation with.
Right.
But especially in this industry, they make it a point to have somebody who speaks English and speaks Italian and things like that, because anime is a international product at this point. So barriers of bringing anime overseas, I mean, there are none. It's really easy. I'm kidding.
And I think there's probably like a fallacy there where people think that that companies are clawing to convince
Oh.
people to give them licenses.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean,
No.
nowadays
They're, like,
every
offer
show is
them.
up for bid immediately, right? And so it's just a
Yeah.
question of who wants it.
The publishers in Japan recognize the anime streaming market in America and just like internationally. So, I mean, now like in the license, there's like a part that is for streaming. So if you look at the
Right.
license for like Pokemon, like there's part that's a streaming license, there's a merchandising license, there's a localization, like it's all cut into pieces. And streaming is a piece, so that I think is proof that
Right.
they think it's gonna happen.
In some cases, you do have to convince people, right? But I don't know individual cases where that happens.
Yeah.
I know stuff like on the manga end, nobody can get the rights to Saint Young Men, Saint Onisan, just because they won't, like the author won't give it to anybody. But those are like the exception.
Yeah.
And they're more often in like manga and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like simulcast anime, like everything's up for bid pretty much.
Yeah, so about 40 new shows every 3 months come out of Japan. And what happens is licensors will bid on the shows, on the publisher shows, and then they're dispersed based on those bids. So there are a lot of times, though, that we do see shows like on the internet and on Tumblr and stuff that are not like licensed in America, and you're like, how do I watch this? Like, I want to watch this, blah, blah, blah. So there are times, very rare, when a show's license is just like not available. But we'll still try to like start a conversation, of course, like, hey,
Right.
like talk to the publisher, like, hey, we have a streaming service, let's put this on here. And sometimes the studio or like the publisher is just like not equipped to do it at that time. They like might not have like the staff, or like the reason could be
Sure.
anything, but Crunchyroll does always try to like start the conversation. You know,
Yeah.
if we see that there's an anime out there that we want to watch, we know our users want to watch, we'll say, hey, we'll knock on some doors and say, hey, let's do this. But it's always a negotiation. We do have like publishers that we work with like every single season, like TV Tokyo and blah, 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 things like that. So we have Naruto, a bunch of other TV Tokyo shows, and every time they do get a new show, we still have to like negotiate.
Right.
It's never like a for sure thing.
Yeah. So it's never like, oh yeah, of course. It's just always have to do the formal
Yeah.
sit down. Like
They treat everything
sure.
as a new product, and a new relationship goes with that
Right.
IP. And that's where the brand managers are really important, because the brand managers sort of like divvy up the publishers they work with. And so that person at Crunchyroll will be like the contact with that publisher for
Oh.
the entire lifespan of the relationship,
Cool.
or while they work there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Okay. We also have some more questions. So we will move on to those, and then we're going to get to the anime watch party. So we're going to go through these a little bit
Cool.
quickly.
Cool. Okay.
Because we're getting on time.
Got this. Speed round.
Um,
Lightning round.
Thomas Ignacio Gonzalez Sanchez. Who's Sanchez? Says, could you ask, sorry, can I ask you guys your opinion about the future of anime as the industry? Is it going strong? Is the audience significantly shifting its tastes? So obviously you guys get to see a lot of anime come out and
Yeah.
have a little bit more connection.
Yeah. So I have like a taste that is unlike the common like anime watcher.
Unlike the plebes.
No, I'm not even saying that.
So
I'm just
superior.
I'm just saying moe is king, and I'm not into moe.
Right, right.
So
Okay.
I feel like,
That makes you a plebe.
yeah, I'm a plebe. I'm like watching like Dominion Tank Police or something.
That's right.
At the same time. So future of the anime industry. Did you think about this question at all, Evan?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I want to hear your answer first.
Well, so I think the fandom is still pretty strong. I've seen some evidence that it's aging, which is not good, but not really strong evidence for that. I think it depends on like what convention you go to.
Yeah.
And that's in the sense of like not enough young fans coming in and the existing fans getting older. But I don't feel like people are leaving anime fandom in large numbers. Like people aren't kind of growing out of it very often.
Do you
Yeah.
think it's cyclical at all? Do you think it just sort
To
of
some degree.
yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of the boost from Pokemon, like our
Yeah, the
generation
Pokemon
of
generation.
Pokemon
And
kids,
Sailor Moon,
right?
Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Z.
Right, right. I don't know if there's been a big boost like that in the past like decade or so. Some big mainstream thing that brought a
America?
bunch of people in. But maybe it's just more of a steady thing because of the internet. Like everybody
Yeah.
can just
Right.
find whatever they like.
Yeah. In
Um,
America, no. So even though Sailor Moon existed and Dragon Ball Z existed at the same time as Pokemon, they call our generation specifically the Pokemon
Right.
generation.
Right.
And you're seeing that being echoed right now in Japan with Yokai Watch.
Mm-hmm.
So Yokai Watch is introducing
Mhm.
a ton of new fans into something that's a little more formulaic than like the standard like Japanese kids show that is anime at the same time. So I think that Yokai Watch is going to create another wave of fans in Japan, at least. Also in Japan right now, being an otaku is cool. like super cool.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Which wasn't the
Which is
case
weird,
10
yeah.
years ago or even 5.
Well, it's sort of like nerd culture now. You have all these Marvel
Yeah.
movies coming
Right.
up, and everyone's watching them
Everyone's a
now.
nerd now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, bye. Like throwing rocks at me in high school and calling me Sailor Moon, but now like you're watching Sailor Moon. Cool. Anyways,
Aw.
from a business standpoint, future of anime, I think we're pretty safe.
Yeah, there's definitely
People are
a lot
gonna
of
keep
there's a lot-
watching
There's a lot of
anime.
people in the streaming game now,
Yeah.
so that might have an impact as that grows. We've definitely, there's a boom and bust cycle in anime, and that's definitely that sort of thing has happened before. Lots of people
Yeah.
getting into the game, but I don't know
I think
where that cycle's gonna end, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time there's around 40 new shows, and a multitude of them do look the same and
Yeah.
come off the same.
Yeah.
If you do watch them and like really get into it, they're not the same. A lot of them are based off visual novels, so they do have their own like real stories and things like that. But then you do get 3 or 4 things like Punchline or Ninja Slayer and things that are different and maybe like love songs to older anime.
Yeah.
Same with Kill la Kill. I thought Kill la
Right.
Kill was very like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
80s,
it's totally
like,
retro,
retro.
inspired by Go Nagai and
Mhm.
stuff like
But
that.
that's because it's Trigger. It's
Yeah.
like a studio of otaku.
Right.
So we're also seeing people like us like getting into the industry.
Mhm.
So the Pokemon generation, we're like
Right.
working in the industry now. So you're gonna see a lot more like series and stuff like in Japan also that cater to our wants and our needs,
Like
and,
Chiribako
our taste.
might be like a little bit addictive.
Depends.
that.
I don't know if the concept of the Pokemon generation
Not in
is
Japan.
as valid
no,
in
no,
Japan,
but
right?
We're the
yeah.
same age,
Right.
Right.
So that's all I mean.
I think I had another thought there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if that's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
sounds like we're in a good state.
Yeah, I
for
think we'll be
anime.
fine. I know. It's just like that question like means a lot because it's like what do we mean as fans or what do we mean
Right.
as like working at Crunchyroll? Working at Crunchyroll, I'm like we're fine. Like everybody's gonna love anime forever. Like
Yeah.
we have enough.
Yeah,
Like-
I will at least. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think one of the biggest developments is the there's the 2 big things for me is like there's a lot more short series now, which I think is
Oh.
like we're going to see more and more of that
No
with
more
like
26
cell
episode.
phone usage or also like short
Yeah.
length, like things like Take You
Like
and
2 minutes.
Yeah. So or like 15 minutes, right? So with the more people probably I think watching on like cell phones and stuff like that would sort of increase that. And
Just
also
same.
like Kickstarter and crowdfunding they're starting to pick up on it more in Japan. Sunao Katabuchi, his new movie, just got crowdfunded through a Japanese crowdfunding service. Plus there have been things that have been crowdfunded through Kickstarter. Trigger's doing
Little
it. There's a lot
Witch.
more like international, like studios trying to reach out internationally and do their own thing.
More
So
collaboration.
that might change the game quite a lot
Yeah.
as we sort of like internationalize the industry to the point that like these studios may be more directly interacting with people in 5 years than through intermediaries and stuff.
And as the years go on, people just have less time. So a 2-minute series is like much easier to ingest than a series.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the case for me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm watching
and also,
a lot of short
like,
anime.
The gaming industry feels the same way I think about like games on phones, like mobile games.
Right.
Mhm.
Like RPGs like are going to be a thing of like the past because everybody's doing mobile games and things like that. And I spoke with a game developer in Japan. He worked on like Final Fantasy 1 and things like that, and he like hands down thinks mobile games are like just the future because people aren't going to have time to like sit at home like
Right.
on a console and play an 80-hour game.
Sure. I think there'll always be that audience. It's just maybe
gonna become
obviously the
smaller.
focus has become
Yeah.
a lot of mobile games just because
Yeah.
it reaches so many more people.
Or maybe the audience will stay the same size, but yeah, mobile games will reach more people.
And both of those, the short stuff and the crowdfunded stuff, I think allows more creators to kind of make things specifically
That are
for
different,
people who
yeah.
like them, right? Like not this please everybody designed by committee stuff, but just like I want to make this cool thing that I like and there's some audience that's going to like it too.
Right.
And I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah, so maybe Moe will cycle out.
It definitely will to some degree. It's just a question of when, right? All fads end eventually.
Waiting.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. There's some stuff that is technically Moe that I love, but
It's always an exception.
yeah.
Okay, I think that's all for questions. That's all we have
Cool.
time for. Thank you guys for your questions. We'll maybe try to see if they want to answer some later, but
Yeah, just tweet to
Mhm.
us.
yeah.
We'll answer
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Pretty much. Or you could always ask questions on the Crunchy Cast.
Be our voice freaking guy.
Okay, so now, anime watch party. So if you guys haven't tuned in Anime Watch Party, we watched 2 episodes of Cowboy Bebop. We come back here and talk about it.
I thought we were gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Like-
I thought we were gonna have an anime watch party.
I thought it was actually going to be on
Right.
the screen
We all
behind
just like,
you.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
a great
I
scene.
don't know what I thought. But
I double checked. I was like watching episodes. Like, okay, so they haven't been watching it in the show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I watched
I don't
Cowboy
think we'd
Bebop
be-
for the last time in like 2006. I think it'll be fine.
All right.
So
Do
the
you remember
basic
who
premise
Spike
is that
is?
we watch it with the
Yeah.
audience. We give them homework, like watch
Mhm.
episode 5
like a
and
book
6
club.
for this
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we come back and we
We
talk.
get
Homework.
actually
Yeah.
have been getting more and more like really great in-depth responses
That's
to
awesome.
the shows.
Oh,
episodes,
cool.
and kinda,
Oh,
like,
you guys
breaking it
get
down.
responses from people.
Yeah, so like
Oh.
hashtag IGNanime when you're watching
It's very
Cowboy Bebop.
participatory.
Yeah, so it's like watch party. Let's watch together.
IG
Um,
anime.
Yeah, IGN.
Oh.
Totally Miranda's invention.
Yeah,
so
That
cute.
is so funny.
It's silly. And it's short, so I was like, it's easy hashtag.
Yeah.
Don't waste your space. So this week we watched Ballad for Fallen Angels, was episode 5, and episode 6 was Sympathy for the Devil. This is kind of our first return back to the overarching premise of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it started the very first episode. The first scene was like super dark, and then like everything else is like, okay, well, don't know what happened with that. That's fine. And then-
Episodic.
right, and then you kind of come back to it finally in Ballad for Fallen Angels. So
Well, and isn't Ballad for Fallen Angels because I didn't go back and watch the other
Sure.
episodes, but isn't it the first time that you really see the overarching narrative of it, right? Like you
Right,
said, but like
yeah.
not just the tone, but actually the stuff
sure, you
with
get
Vicious
the hints,
and yeah,
right,
yeah.
Then you finally get to meet Vicious
Right.
and see what the internal struggle is for like Spike and his overarching struggle like that he's living with, but doesn't always come up in their like,
Yeah.
adventures, which is a really interesting way.
I like that kind of storytelling.
Yeah,
It's a somewhat unique show in that sense. A lot of other anime either are very episodic or are completely serialized, but Bebop has this story that weaves its way into all of
Right.
these
And
little
it's-
episodic bits.
and it's always happening. There's sometimes like hints to things or allusions
Right.
or like foreshadowing, but you may not pick it up first go around.
Mhm. I think the only other show that's like mirrors that almost to a T is Samurai Champloo.
Right.
Yeah.
which is
yeah.
the same
Which
director.
is
Yeah.
the same. Yeah, but
It
even his
makes
other work
sense.
doesn't necessarily
Right.
like follow the exact same. Like Champloo and Bebop are like step for step almost.
Hmm.
Right.
I haven't seen all of Shampoo. I should.
I know somebody in the group said that it feels kind of weird to watch Bebop because then you have episodes like this where it's like, this is obviously the overarching plot, like the internal struggle, like the external struggle.
Yeah.
But it only really deals with Spike. Like you sometimes
Yeah.
get some other, like Faye was involved.
A
but
little bit.
Well, they
A
have their
little bit.
own stories
Sure.
that weave in
Everyone
and out.
has their
Faye and
own-
Jet, right?
Yeah, everyone has their own narrative.
And Ed, sure.
And they're
yes.
kind of comparing like previous episodes as almost filler. But
Yeah,
that has,
people. I can see people saying that nowadays.
It's
that
not.
has, but it's not.
No.
Like filler is something to waste time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really do much for character development sometimes. I mean, like it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it is because you have to catch up to the manga sometimes, or you're creating something else, which is not always bad. Like people who say, like hear filler, and it's like, oh, it's terrible. It's like,
yeah,
not
there's a bad, like,
necessarily.
connotation.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
the thing to think about with Bebop is that it's a bunch of writers and directors, or I don't know if it's multiple directors, but a bunch of writers and animators and whoever, like they're experimenting. They're telling different stories with these characters, and it's like that's not filler. That's
Right.
hey, we have interesting characters and we want to kind of try something interesting with them and you know put them into this new situation and do something different.
Which
Like
I think is very true to like space operas.
Mhm.
Even if you're looking at things like the writing in like Star Trek and things like that. Like the
Right.
main overarching like story in a Star Trek series is like interjected with like episodic like little adventures. Like
Right. And that's so important.
and those serve a
Yeah.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to like help with pacing or help with like crafting your emotions and maybe
I
making you
care
care
more
for
about
It's
Right, like, make
there's,
them care for
there's
the
also
characters.
like people really like to. I hear people say that about Bebop, and they really like to focus on stories must have just this continuous arc of movement, right?
Right, and then
but
doesn't need-
Bebop has those arcs in every episode, and
Right.
most of those episodes are really well written on their own as these little narratives where you introduce a side character and show something about them and then take them to a conclusion. And people ignore that as if the only thing that matters is the story about Spike across the whole show.
Right.
which makes me think of like the
Well-
episode where there's that stuff like growing in the fridge.
The
Oh, that's
toys
so
in the
good.
attic.
Yeah, we're not there yet. I love that
like
one.
I love that, but it has nothing to do with anything else. I mean, it sort of like makes you care more about Faye and like her more. She's funny, but
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah, there's stuff. I think I don't remember the details, but I think one of the episodes like that I really
no,
liked.
no
was-
spoilers.
Oh.
Absolutely
No
no spoilers. I've
spoilers.
never seen it.
Can't say anything.
You cannot
Okay.
say anything.
Okay, so
I was
don't
gonna
talk
name
about
an
it.
episode title. All right.
Can I
Oops.
give
All right.
There's something in the fridge.
Yep, nope.
Well, I mean, that's
Spoilers.
not that spoilery.
Yeah, I know,
it's
I know.
like
It's its own thing.
It's fine.
I don't know. The thing is that I think you had a comment that from somebody who watched episode 5 and they didn't like it. I think
Yeah,
it was
I have
Oh.
it written down.
yeah, and I read that because we
Caleb.
prepare for every show, and I actually can see where they're coming from, and it's kind of that whole topic you guys are just talking about, like filler versus not filler.
Right.
And I think it's because this episode packs in so much, but it doesn't really explain any of it.
Yeah.
And I think because
It's
of
a
that,
teaser.
it's very intense, but there's no payoff to it. You don't understand why it's suddenly so intense, so it makes everything that came before in contrast seem like filler. Because it doesn't have that same emotional, like, bam, right to the face.
They mark it as, like, more important.
As opposed to this where it's just like, oh, I just got a ton of information. I don't know what to do with it. And now I'm waiting for the payoff. Well, why didn't they actually start to filter that in beforehand? You know?
I think that's cool, the way they
I'm
do
not saying
that.
it's
Yeah,
wrong,
like
right.
injecting it and then backing off and being like, all right, you'll see more of it later.
But I can
right?
see why, like,
Yeah.
like that contrast then could cause people to be like, whoa, like,
So
what
it's
happened?
definitely weird because it is so different from like normal narrative storytelling. It's not that here's your villain. We'll let you introduce like the second or third episode,
Right.
And then here's them and their entire rise and fall and all that.
Yeah, and it's because he's not
instead-
really the villain of
Right.
the show. He's just like Spike's
Spike's.
antagonist.
Yeah.
Right.
So it just the way Bebop flows is just so different, and I can see like there's a lot of people who are saying that they were very let down with Bebop, and maybe. Obviously, some of this is
I'm like,
storytelling.
I've never heard
Yeah,
that.
no,
I've heard a couple
few
people.
comments who people were
Yeah.
like, it's just like overhyped and stuff, and like I totally get
There's
that.
a lot
So,
of hype,
There's
yeah.
different.
Yeah, it's legendary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hyped. It's like
No, but I mean, it's tough to
Right.
get around that. Like
Yeah.
this, if you've spent this long, especially if you're older and you're not like just a teenager trying
Yeah.
it for the first time. If you've spent decades hearing about how good this show is,
yeah.
Right.
it might be tough because Bebop is not perfect.
But also, I think if
Like-
you're only watching things that came out in the last like 3 years, and you're trying to ingest Bebop, like you're gonna think it's like, why do people like this?
Right, it's a
Because
very
it's
stark
not what you're told
contrast,
to like.
right, of like storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not for everybody. I mean, like I get that.
Yeah.
But
Bebop, I think, is one thing though that like my dad had a hard time getting his friends to watch anime. I remember when I was a little girl, and Bebop was always like the one.
Oh yeah, it always
Yeah, it
works. 'Cause
always
it's-
has been.
Because I was gonna say this episode is particularly just feels like a Hollywood movie or something because that's the
Right.
sort of stuff that Watanabe is very inspired by, and the pacing is so much more deliberate than a lot of anime, which sort of just feel like they're like, all right, just put this like plain
we'll do this
normal
scene.
shot of the two people just straight
Yeah.
on talking to each other. Bebop is like uses like different angles really well, uses the environment, kind of
Lighting.
does like a low shot at a more appropriate point for that or something. Like
Right.
I was noticing during one of the fight scenes, like it does a Dutch angle at one point that's like really fast, and Dutch angles really bother me a lot of times because people misuse them, but it just does it as Spike turns around a corner and shoots at somebody for 2
What is a
seconds.
Dutch angle? I actually don't
just
know.
just tilted angle. Yeah, for like the camera, right? And it just does that very quickly. And I feel like a
Time
lot of
Crisis.
anime don't do that. Like they're not very creative with the way they
Right.
use their shots
also-
or place their characters.
Bebop's also really detailed. So, like, one thing that really stood out to me in that fight scene in particular is that moment where, like, Vicious has a sword and Spike has a gun. And
It's the best.
there's
It's
this-
so good.
But
It's the
not even just
best.
that, it's the symmetry. I don't know if
Yeah,
you guys noticed
uh-huh.
that. There's, like, absolute symmetry, like, shoulder to shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, like, they leave, like, mirroring
Him and Vicious,
wounds. Like,
that happens a lot.
It's just
Yeah.
very, like, there's a lot of visual cueing that goes on there. It's
That
very
also-
And that
sophisticated.
whole episode
Mirrors a
is
lot
full
about
of-
the story though too,
Yeah.
and
Well-
like what Spike has to do.
And that episode is full of very tied together symbolism, right? Like they're in and it's not directly addressed, right? It's they're in a church. They're talking like Vicious talks about angels and devils.
Yeah.
The episode is called Ballad of Fallen Angels, right? And Spike
Multiple
falls
angels.
out a window of a church, right?
Yeah.
It's like all this stuff, but nobody like Vicious
Unless
is
you
never
sit
like
down and think
what
about
an
it.
appropriate place to fight
Yeah.
an angel and a devil.
Sasuke and Naruto on the water. Love that.
So to conclude our Ballad of Fallen Angels conversation, I have one really good comment that I got through email. It's from Edmund. So he said, episode 5, Ballad of Fallen Angels is awesome. Agreed.
Yep.
I mentioned on Twitter that I named my cat after Spike, and it's because of this episode. Sorry if this is a stupid comment, which it's not.
It's really cute.
It is
Yeah.
adorable
Super cute.
and sad. But when my cat was a kitten, he fell off the second floor and landed on the first floor. He was shaken up, but he's fine. And he is still alive today, many years later. Yay! I named him Spike after this happened because in episode 5, Spike similarly falls out the church window and survives. So I was just like,
Aw.
Yeah,
cool
that's pretty
story.
good.
That's your name,
that's
cat.
so meaningful.
What was
but
its name before?
I don't
Did it
know.
have a name? Was it born and fell out right
name
out
was
of its
Maybe
mother?
it was
Vicious.
that, like, trial.
Oh.
Maybe it was like the trial period when you're like, I don't know what to name you yet. You're a cat right now.
You're a cat.
So
Cute.
cool.
I like that comment.
Yeah.
a good comment.
And Sympathy for the Devil was just like another cool show. It just explores the universe a little bit more and like kind of cool like history with what goes on. I think, like we were saying, kind of like the space opera, cool, like learning about more about the universe and
again, a sort of internal arc of this character that he meets, right? This new antagonist who's really only there for one episode and is just kind of there to tell his story, right?
Right. Oh, and this is the part with the filler. David Conrad kind of mentioned like the whole development and like how it's kind of filler, but not really. And my favorite part about this episode was at the end when the kid to aging to old man was like, "Do you understand? Like I feel so like relieved and like." Do you understand? Like telling his Spike, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, I do." It's like, no,
right.
It's just like,
but again, that's
funny.
symmetry because he had said that exact phrase earlier in the episode.
Right.
I don't know. I do this every episode of Cowboy Bebop where I just write down like recurring themes and motifs.
That's
and
one of the best parts about it.
I have talked about this for 3 episodes in a row now, and I'm gonna probably do it every single time during the watch party. Sorry, everybody. But like, I love how music's now coming up as a recurring thing.
And music is super tied into
it's
everything. You hear organ music playing in the background when they fight in the church in the last episode.
But also the concept
right?
of music to the characters.
Yeah, and just like what I feel is like it establishes the world so well when they start taking these things that are very basic and universally human and just spread it out throughout the series so far.
And notice in this episode, there's this theme of age and the blues that ties together, right? So that you have this character who looks like a kid but is actually very, very old, and you have Jet talking repeatedly about when I was a baby, I was already singing the blues, right?
Yeah.
And this kid is very good at playing the harmonica, and nobody says anything directly about this, but you are kind of led to believe he's so good at playing the harmonica because he really gets the blues because he's been alive for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah.
It's just like, gosh, like the part, it's like always really easy to relate to him because he's like, I've been tested on, like every time someone discovers me, like they throw me in a lab and have to discover and like, but I can't die. And so he's just kind of doing his thing and he just kidnaps someone's like, hey, you're going to be my parent now.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I can just
It's
be
like
normal.
in space, but like more of the perfect sci-fi series than series that are like billed as 100% sci-fi.
Because it's
like
not
fantasy.
about the
'Cause
sci-fi,
it's not
it's about
that.
the people.
Yeah,
which
but
is
it's
what the
at
best
same
sci-fi
time.
is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Good job, Evan.
So
something I wonder if you guys noticed is, and I didn't notice this the first time I watched the show, the kid is, for one thing, looks remarkably like Detective Conan. Has a lot of similarities to him, right? This like adult in a kid's body. And his costume looks like Green Jacket Lupin, who's Lupin's the inspiration for Spike. So that has to be deliberate to me, that combination of those two characters.
absolutely. Like, just looking at the show overall, it's like, of course it is.
Yeah.
Had to be.
Bebop is probably another show where you can watch it and see and hear something new every time.
Actually, similarly, I
So-
think Vicious is probably inspired by Captain Harlock. He's got the bird and
they
everything.
look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look very similar.
They always look the
Another
same.
thing I didn't realize, because when I first watched it, I hadn't seen any of those shows yet.
Yeah. Okay, well, that is our watch party for this week. So make sure you guys watch episodes, what are we on? 7 and 8. So that's next. Yay, we're making our way through. It's really good.
Maybe I'll rewatch Bebop.
Yeah.
Now.
It's so good.
I'm like now that we're like I can see it all in my
It's so
head and like
good.
remember
Yeah.
how I
only
felt
seen
then.
it. I've only seen it all the way through once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I've seen bits and pieces since then.
Well, I just got the Funimation's new Blu-ray box set, so
Right.
I guess I'll open it.
Yeah, a lot of our
Because I buy things and they don't open. They're never
Yep.
open.
Oh, I know
Aw.
that feeling.
yeah, definitely watch along. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy our listeners chose us. So
Sweet.
good discussion. All right, well, this is a long episode, but it's awesome. So I hope you guys had as
Sorry,
much
we have
fun
a lot to
listening.
say.
Yeah, this
No,
is a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Everyone, thank you. And where can they find you guys on Twitter and stuff?
Well, first and foremost, you guys should go ahead and follow Crunchyroll.
That's right.
You can tweet to us anytime. We'll be responding anytime. You can follow me personally on Twitter at @SailorB, SailorBee. That's the main.
And you
main
can
place.
find me @VAMPTVO, Vamptvo. I'm also some other places on and offline. I am the editor-in-chief and occasional podcast host at Anigamers.com, which is an anime, manga, and video game blog and podcast, and I write for Otaku USA magazine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and one thing I'm just going to plug really quickly. If you guys are in the Rosemont, Illinois area, Crunchyroll will be at ASEN next week. So stop by. We'll talk to you and hang out with you. Also, if you'll be in San Jose, we'll be at Fandom as well,
So will
doing some fun
we.
stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah,
come
cool.
to our
Yeah.
panels and
Join.
hang out.
I don't think we did we give the URL for the Crunchy Cast itself?
Oh no,
No?
I haven't even
Okay.
said anything about the
Yeah,
Crunchy Cast.
so if you want to
What's
listen
that?
to us
Oh.
talk sort of like this, but just
A little
us with
different.
other guests, I think
Yeah.
we'll probably have you guys on at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are at crunchyroll.libsyn.com.
You
Cool.
can also find us on iTunes. Just
Yes.
search Crunchy
Or
Cast.
Stitcher, I think. Yeah, a bunch
Yeah.
of stuff.
Bunch of places. SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't have a
No,
SoundCloud.
well, we should be.
We should.
Yeah, SoundCloud. It's weird. I don't think any of our podcasts are on SoundCloud.
Oh, really?
Someone asked me. I looked. I was like,
Yeah,
not
somebody
even
asked
be
us
on.
too.
I didn't know people used it for podcasts, but
Yeah,
they do.
They
They
do.
totally do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so sorry. This show is not on SoundCloud, but you can find us on iTunes and also Libsyn.
Yay.
And as I was saying about Fanime, we are also having a meetup. So join our Facebook group, IGN.com, or no, not IGN.com, not the right one. Facebook.com/group/IGN Anime Club, and then you can check out our events and join the community.
I might
It's
show up to
really
that
awesome.
meetup.
Yeah,
maybe.
you should.
They
It'll
haven't
be
got
fun.
nothing to do.
Oh, fun.
I have lots of things to do, but I might be able to fit it in.
And then, of course, you can follow me at Havoc Rose, and that's Havoc with a K. And Megan?
What am I? At Megan_IGN and Megan with an H.
And I'm at Morphing Ball.
Yep. And so that wraps up episode 5. Thank you guys so much for joining
Yeah,
us.
totally.
Thank
It was
you.
super fun.
Goodbye.
Bye.